today I'm going to do a live vlog series, and actually it's only going to be a couple of video parts, but I've been watching a lot of these DVD collection videos of people that have been doing, or VHS collection, Blu-ray collection, so on and so on, and decided I actually might want to do one of those myself, but since my collection is a little large, it might take a while, so I decided to make it thematic, and as anyone that watches my channel should know, I love giant monster movies. I own tons of them, and so I thought, heck, why don't I start out with those? I think I have some pretty cool additions in my collection, and some things that I definitely want to recommend to people. So let's get started. I'll try and do this as fast as possible. First off is all these VHSs of Godzilla movies I have, by the way, are the American editions, just so I don't need to go through that again, outside of a few things I want to mention for either of them. What more can I say? Godzilla King of the Monsters, the original Gojira with Raymond Burr is inserted into it. And despite that, actually, it's still a really good movie, despite the Raymond Burrification, I mean. Still a fantastic movie, in my opinion. The effects are clearly dated, but there's a lot of creativity shown in them, and a really great score to this movie. It's actually surprisingly effective. The characters aren't two-dimensional like you'd think they'd be. And nice packaging, actually. I mean, if you're looking for the VHS, of course. I actually really like this kind of red circular synopsis thing. I know the white and red for Japan. It's actually kind of cute, to be honest. Next up, sliding the other side of the scale here is the American Godzilla from 1998. Was it 99? Whatever. Doesn't really matter because it's not a really good movie. And it's not a terrible movie. I don't hate this movie like other people do, but it's a better dinosaur movie than it is a Godzilla movie. Otherwise, that's about it. I have nothing more to say about it. It came from beneath the sea in a really crappy VHS edition. This is really low quality VHS. The cover is terrible. I don't really like this movie, to be honest. It's not a bad movie. It's just not that great. Speaking of not that great, Godzilla's Revenge, which is by far the worst Godzilla movie ever created. Now, I've always hated Minya here, Godzilla's son. I hate this movie. I realize this movie came in a time where they were aiming the Godzilla franchise at younger audience, and it has, a message about bullying and whatnot, but it's just mostly filled with stock footage of monsters. The plot isn't all that good. It's really juvenile, and it's not to my liking. It's pretty terrible. Same kind of nice packaging, but there's only so much you can do to polish a turd. Next up is, I love Godzilla movies, Godzilla vs. Monster Zero. This is one of the best Godzilla movies, actually, and it has, as you can probably see from the cover, King Ghidorah. I really like this thing on the side of the package here, Godzilla stamp of approval. That's kind of funny, actually. And though it's not released by the same company as these other ones, as you can tell, it's a great movie regardless, even in the American version. It's a little silly, but it's directed by Inoshiro Honda, and really good in that respect. Definitely one of the better entries. And this movie, Godzilla vs. Gigan, a lot of people loathe it because it's a cheap movie, very clearly made on a very, very small budget, even more so for even for a Godzilla movie. But I actually really like the character of Gigan here. He's kind of got like a saw blade on his belly and like claws for hands and feet. And, it's a silly design. I don't see how it would actually function in an environment other than a fight. And because, I mean, how does he eat or reproduce, but whatever, it doesn't really matter because I actually think it's a really cool monster design. It's not really done a huge amount of justice by this movie, but definitely introduces one of Godzilla's better villains, in my opinion. And as well, King Ghidorah is in this movie, if only slightly. So it's not a bad monster battle overall, I'd say. I actually have about 3 copies of this movie, I think. One from a present from someone else, one I bought myself, and one is part of a gimme pack. So you're going to see that one a couple more times. Next up, Godzilla vs. Mothra, again, classic edition, and American version of it, but introduces one of Godzilla's best villains, most notable villains. The only monster to ever really break free of the Godzilla franchise is Mothra, and it's a really great movie. You would think that a creature such as Mothra wouldn't really put up a good fight, but there's actually some surprisingly good twists in it, and though I really hate, I know it's going to be hard to see, these kind of miniature fairy twins that they have in this movie and all the other ones with them, it's an interesting plotline. If nothing else, you likely not see anything like it for a while. Next up is, thankfully not a Godzilla movie, Gorgo. And I'm surprised this movie gets the recognition it does, because it's just kind of an obscure movie. It's not a terrible movie, even if it is the bastard child of a few other movies. But for a monster movie, it's not bad. Miniature work's okay. It's pretty good. Not really much to say about it. Like I said, though, Mothra, this is the original Mothra feature. And like I said, the only creature to really break free of the Godzilla franchise. This one, she's in the Godzilla franchise, and she's also in her own trilogy of movies called Rebirth of Mothra, which I've seen one of them and didn't really like it. Kind of too kiddie fair for me, but at the same time, still interesting. Not the best movie. The miniature work in it is pretty poor, to be frank. And it contains the fairy twins again. Don't like them. But otherwise, kind of anticlimactic. I wouldn't really get it unless it's part of a collection or you're a huge Mothra fan, in which case you might like it. And though diminutive in size in comparison, King Kong. What can I say? It's King Kong. It's a classic movie. It doesn't play up as the romantic angle as much as the newer remakes, but at the same time, adventure element, definitely there. Really nice addition of this. Anyone wondering why I don't have this on DVD is because I'm actually waiting for the Blu-ray to come out, and it's coming out this September, I think, so definitely looking forward to that. I really like King Kong. War of the Gargantuans, another Toho production. It's actually a sequel, and it really is just kind of bizarre. I mean, I don't even know what to make of this movie. The cover basically says it all. Supposedly they're spawned from the seeds of Frankenstein. If anyone's seen it, Frankenstein Conquers the World. And it's just kind of bizarre. I really don't know what else to say about it. It's not a terrible movie. I don't really like the costuming, but I've seen worse. Godzilla vs. Gigan again. A little bit of a beat-up copy. Ray Harryhausen and doing the effects for 20 Million Miles to Earth. Really hilarious kind of cover here. I really like this. Is one of my favorite Ray Harryhausen movies, if only because I know he's done better stuff, but at the same time, I think he really brings the Ymir to life. It's the creature in this movie, the Ymir. And it's a good movie. I want to see the color. I want to get the Blu-ray for because apparently you can toggle between the black and white and colorized versions. Should be interesting if nothing else. Another King Kong movie, King Kong Lives, and this is kind of like the remake in the 70s. It's wow, not really all that good. It's a sequel, I guess, but whatever. And it's not really all that good. If you want to see it, frankly, don't. It's not a very good movie. I only own this just so I can say I have it in my collection. I got it when I was very young. Terror of Mechagodzilla, fantastic Godzilla movie. Even though I don't understand this cover. This is clearly meant to be Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla, which I have on DVD, because Anguirus and King Caesar there are in that movie. But not in Terror of Mechagodzilla. In Terror of Mechagodzilla is these two and another creature called Titanosaurus. So the question really comes to, I guess this is a massive production error, because why would you advertise, especially King Caesar? Anguirus, maybe. But then, I mean, this just silly thing right here, this is clearly meant to be a different movie's cover, but Terror of Mechagodzilla is a good entry. Silly, but whatever. Godzilla 1985, actually Godzilla 1984, but the American version cut in, now older Raymond Burr version. And you can really see that this is a beat to hell copy. I had to replace the top here, jumbo video sticker. I got it for a couple bucks. I really can't complain all that much. I honestly need one of the huge collection to come out of these movies to actually feel like I should own them. King Kong vs. Godzilla, definitely one to see. This is one of my favorites as a kid because I always loved to see Godzilla kick the crap out of King Kong. Not to say Godzilla wins or King Kong wins. It's kind of indecisive, but the battle to get there is very fun. The suit work is really, really odd, and the actual effects and plot are stupid as hell get out. But at the same time, this is just so much fun to watch. I could care less. I really, really, really want to see this movie on in a collection and a better DVD, because the DVD they have is not very good, I hear. Next up is Godzilla vs. Biollante, and this is one of my more favorite Godzilla villains, to be honest. Even though he's a plant, I think he's very interesting. Unfortunately, while my admiration for this movie as a kid really does still hold up, it's not quite as good as I remember it to be, because I kept remembering these parts saying, oh, that part was good, or that part was good. Not so much. Anyway, last up is Godzilla vs. the Sea Monster. Godzilla playing volleyball with a giant crab. What more can I say? Not a very good one. Reptilicus, which is the only Danish giant monster movie for all I know. Love the back cover here. Kind of puppet work isn't very good, but apparently the American version excises a musical number, and I really want to see that shit, so I hope they release that on DVD sometime. Last up is Godzilla vs. Megalon, and this is a very rare movie. Anyone that is a fan of the Godzilla franchise knows. It's actually the Canadian version, surprisingly enough. And absolutely ridiculous movie. The plot is stupid as all get out, but honestly, so much fun. I'm so glad I own it, because it plays on TV. It played on TV a lot, but really great movie. Stay tuned for part 2.